I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'd like to introduce my friends Courtney, my friend Carrie, and I want to shout out a special thanks to my friend Katie as the camera girl, camera woman. In a study done by the American Institute of Stress back in 2008, 80% of college students experience daily stress continuously over a 3-month period. This is 20% more than a similar study that was done 5 years previously. The goal of my speech today is to inform you of the reasons behind these stresses, the damage effect they have on the body, and to propose healthy ways of dealing with these stresses. In order to understand how to cope with these stresses, it's first important to know what causes them and how they affect the human body. These stresses can be divided into 3 categories: educational, social economic, and miscellaneous. The first category, educational stresses. Having classes back to back, sometimes all day. This can be due to competition among students for the same basic core courses that every college student is required to take. English Comp 1, English Comp 2, basic history, etc. Educational factor number 2, homework, term papers, and research projects. These can add stress to the student depending on the due dates of homework and term papers and research projects, depending on A, the professor's requirements, and C, like situations like this, school requirements. High grades performance is a third factor. These are the reasons why classes are taken in the first place. High achieving students place greater stress on themselves simply for trying to get the best grade in the class. I think we all have come across that top student who puts themselves under the gun to do well, do as well as they can.
You usually laugh at them.
So have I. The second category, social economic stresses. Living away from home for the first time for an extended period of time might sound great, but without family around as a support system, this can lead to stress, particularly if students are on another part of the state or in another part of the country. The second point, living with strangers for the first time can lead to conflict among roommates, which also leads to stress. When I first started Bridgewater State as a resident student, I had a lot of conflicts with the 2 roommates that I was in a forced triple with. By the second semester, I had been the one to get kicked out of the room and got assigned to another roommate, which from then on, my freshman year was fine. Financial obligations. These include financial aid for tuition and fees, cash for books and supplies, and a social life can all lead to stress. Balancing job obligations with academic and social obligations can also lead to stress. There's only so many hours in a day, and for an 18, 19, 20-year-old, sometimes as young as 17, you're away from home for the first time. You want to experience independence. Without proper time management skills, before you know it, half the semester's gone by and you have a ton of work to do. Miscellaneous stresses. Unfamiliar climates and surroundings can cause stress. These stem from unfamiliar parts of the country or state where climate changes can lead to stress. You normally wouldn't think of somebody from Massachusetts or New England living in a stressful condition in San Diego, but if you're not prepared for it, if you don't bring enough summer clothing, in San Diego, or vice versa, don't bring enough winter materials, you're going to be under stress, whether you know it or not. Extended commute times. For students living off campus and commute to class, unexpected traffic concerns can lead to stressful situations. Being a former student here at Cape Cod Community College and only living a couple of exits away, traffic wasn't that much of an issue. But if you don't plan accordingly, if there's road work in the highways, you're going to end up most likely late for class or late for any important meetings on campus that you might have. Family loss or turmoil. This hits near and dear to my heart. A student's life can be stressful when a close loved one dies or the unexpected throws the student's life into chaos. My original college career, Bridgewater State University, was cut short, mostly because of my father's illnesses that had taken place throughout my college career. The last of which was a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. Now, most people who know anything about pancreatic cancer knows that the patient doesn't usually survive. My father was lucky enough that he caught it early enough so that surgery was indeed an option. Needless to say, however, any sort of turmoil in the student's life outside of class can lead to stress inside of class. Now that we've covered factors that lead to stress, let's talk about how these stress factors affect the human body. The physical changes include increased heart rate, blood pressure, headaches, and stomach aches. Emotional changes include hostility, unhappiness, loneliness, and when all seems lost, a feeling of helplessness, especially when the stress is overwhelming. Behavioral or mental changes, binge eating or reduced eating, substance abuse, which in my case at Bridgewater State, I hit the bars more often than I probably should have. A decreased sex drive, and memory loss. And a decreased sex drive can lead to emotional intimacy issues with romantic attachments that, again, will lead to stress. How to deal with this stress. Campus resources are often a good place. Campuses in the 21st century know how stressful going to college is for students. That's why in most four-year universities there's a counseling center. There's also a gym for working out. Physical exercise is usually a great stress reliever, as well as eating healthy. One thing I've noticed here at 4Cs is the fact that they're replacing a lot of vending machines with more healthy alternatives. I know that some of the vending machines in North Hall, for example, are being replaced with Gatorade, Propel, and other more healthy alternatives. Social resources. Outside activities with friends and coworkers can reduce stress levels. Social programs on campus are geared to reduce stress. Whether you just want to hang out with friends after class or engage in one of the very many, somewhat lame sometimes, activities that college universities put on, these are great ways to reduce stress. Changes in personal habits. First, get plenty of sleep. I can't emphasize that enough. And I don't mean passing out drunk sleep. I mean
That's the best sleep.
that, yeah, wake up with a massive hangover and you'll find out it ain't that great.
Never had a hangover.
You're lucky. Anyways, get plenty of sleep. Most experts and doctors recommend anywhere from 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Take on only what you can handle. Colleges aren't, even a 4-year college these days, are not geared to be done in 4 years. I remember when I first applied at Westfield State in my second go around in college. The registrar's office was pretty surprised I had taken 5 classes. 50 years ago, 5 classes a semester, 8 semesters in a 4-year college experience, 120 credits, you were done. That's it. Now college is done in 4.5 or even as much as 5 years. Take adequate study breaks. Now this doesn't mean get up every 5 minutes and screw off a half an hour, no. But after 3 or 4 hours of studying, doing homework, whatever, take a walk, take a break, go out, get some fresh air, take the dog for a walk, whatever. So, one thing I'd like to add before my conclusion is this chart. This shows the number of different conditions and the percentage of responders. In this case, there were about 124 different people surveyed. And the biggest stress factor they reported at almost 89% was academic workload. Next at 84% was time management. Adequate sleep came in fourth at a little over 64.5%. Finances, which is big for going to college, came in at just over 62%. Social life, almost 50% at 47%. Living conditions at almost 47%. And other, which could be a variety of different factors, at over 13, almost 14%. So there's a lot of, so in looking at this graph, you can tell that there's a lot of everyday factors that college students experience on a day-to-day basis. So in conclusion, in talking about these various factors, I just want to add that college is the last chapter of childhood. After this, adulthood. Some people are shaking their heads. But college is really it. Once you're done with college, then you head out into the real world and adulthood begins. That's when stress will have its place. Don't let stress destroy the last chapter of your childhood or in preparation for adulthood. Thank you. Any questions? No? Thank you very much.